Okay.
I can go if you want.
No. Hey, guys, you got Tess and Madison, and I have no idea where we're going today.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, we're going to do a little sandwich situation where we're going to talk about some funny things. In the middle, we're going to talk about some things that need to be said. And at the end, we're going to finish off with some feel-good
Okay.
moments.
I'm ready.
Great.
Okay. Well, something that I want to bring up that is like light that happened. Well, actually, it happens every couple of weeks.
Yes.
But then it sparked a conversation between us about experiences we've had. And one is laser hair removal. Mm-hmm. And if you get it or you get any type of like self-care in that area, you know how awkward it can be in the beginning and how many people have actually seen what you have to offer.
Okay, yes. And for context, we're talking about laser hair removal on your bikini line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like not just your bikini line, like let's get more graphic, like the whole
on your vagina if you are a female.
Yeah.
And how far do we want to go into this? They also do your backside, if you know what I'm talking about. If you want it, which yeah.
Of course,
yeah,
sure.
Why
go ahead.
not?
Yeah.
And Tess and I just always laugh, and I am sure most people can relate if you do get laser there. It's just like the amount of technicians that have seen our vag and ass.
Well, it's just like
not, I mean, about 30 each. Yeah. You know, like there seems to be a new person working there each time I go.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I don't get any overlap. Like it's never going to be the same nurse.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, what's your name? All right, nice to meet you. Let's go.
Yeah, and they give you like, or at the place that I go, I always laugh because there's a little changing room, or I guess undressing room, where you take your pants off, and they offer to give you this little sheet that you can wrap around like a mini skirt. And
No,
I
why?
always refuse because
Yeah.
it makes it even weirder. And Tess and I were just laughing about it the other day because it's, if I do wear it, then I walk out and I have to take it off. It's like some unveiling moment of like, here I am, like here's my
good.
vagina.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just, and my thought process is if you're gonna, like, I'm sorry, laser hair removal, like you're all up on it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be looking at it. You're
They're
gonna be
in-
touching it. Yeah.
in
like,
there. In it.
well, not
basically.
in, like for anybody who has never had it, like they don't go like
Inside,
right.
obviously, but like everywhere there's hair, they go there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you're going to see it anyways. Like we're going to get that close. Let's just rip the Band-Aid
That's
and do
right.
it right out of the gate.
Yeah. So I just walk out with the shirt on and no pants.
Yeah.
and
I'm just
some
like, hey,
socks
what's
on.
up? Yeah.
It's just
Socks
weird.
is the
And they
finishing
try to
touch.
like do that thing of like they're talking to you, but they're like looking over here, you know? And I'm like, okay, it's okay. Thank you for being polite.
Well, and then last time I actually did have an overlap. I had the same gal. This is now my second time having her. And I was like, oh, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
finally, not
Some
someone
consistency.
new. Yes. And she was talking to me and, you know, she did my armpits and then she like went down. And then once she got down there, she was like, oh, Tess, you're the Pilates instructor, right? And it was like she had to be like,
She remembered you. I remembered that vagina. You're the Pilates instructor. We all talk about it here.
so it's just like, okay, cool. Yeah. I'm glad that my face didn't bring any recognition, but it was in fact my badge.
Oh man. And
Yep.
even though I've been so many times, it's always like they always tell you to like get in the butterfly so they can fully see everything.
Yeah.
And that just kills me. I'm always just like, fuck. So I just get into it right away. Like I don't even want
You don't
them
want
to be
the
like,
instruction.
can you tell, like, can you do that? I'm just like, I'm already here. I'm open.
I'm open. It's bad.
Yeah.
And then that made me think of just like massage experiences that I've had, which I don't get a ton of massages. And also the podcast that we listen to that we love, The Inspired Unemployed, they had just talked about their recent massage experiences. That's
Yeah.
hard to say. Massage experiences.
Massage. Yeah. Sometimes I
Yeah,
fuck that up.
But then we started laughing because there's this place in town that's like definitely discount, you know, like it's not luxurious whatsoever.
Yeah,
It's
like it's the windows are like dark, blacked out with like curtains, and you already know it's called like foot massage place or something. But they do full body, so that should already tell you that
Yeah.
it's fucked up.
Yeah. And I went with my friends once and I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we love this place. Like it's super cheap and it's really good. And I'm like, okay, well, any massage that I had gotten previously, you go into a separate room. I
Right.
walked into this place and we were all, it would look like a bunch of people on gurneys. Like everyone was laying out in the
There's,
same
like,
room.
in this small ass room, probably the size of like
Our living room,
kitchen.
but yes.
Maybe, yes, our living room probably. And there's like 12 beds like stacked together. And everyone's getting massages together.
Yeah, it looked like seriously like an ER. Like
Yeah.
it's not good, but it's really dark in there, so you can't really see, and everyone's really quiet. And I laid down there, right? And I'm like laying. I was laying back down. And then everyone has their masseuse coming out, and all my girlfriends got females. And then out comes the man, and of course he comes for me, and I'm like, oh, here we go, like,
Yeah.
I
It's
was
like,
younger too.
That's for you,
Yeah.
right? When they walk out, you're like, that's my guy.
And so he sits down, he's straddling my head, so his feet are on either side, and I'm in his lap essentially because he's like going for my shoulders. And as he sits down, I smell something, and I'm like, what? So I look up, and he's chewing food, and he's like, as my head is in his lap, and he's like,
That's sickening. I'm sorry.
I was
I'd be like,
mad.
get off. I need to leave. And so we were talking about this same place, and
But you don't want to cause a scene.
No, you
Because there's like 15
that's
people
true.
in there, so
Everyone
you're
can
just like,
hear everything.
Ooh, okay, just like
And
tune
you
it
were
out.
younger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you also don't want to cause a scene.
Yeah,
maybe.
but
Yeah.
me now, I might have been like, excuse me, can you finish your
Yeah, I'd be
food
like,
before you like drop it on my face?
Yeah.
And because he was chewing with his mouth open, I thought for sure some food was going to fall out and like onto my head.
I wish it did. That would have made a funnier story.
Well, I'm sorry. And I'm grateful that it didn't,
Yeah. Yeah, I went to that same place years later, and I just asked for a foot massage because there's no way that I wanted a full body in that type of environment.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I wanted something to cover my eyes, just to make it more peaceful. And I was like, oh my God, totally. And so I'm waiting for it. And they bring it over, and they put a fucking paper towel. Dude, like a paper towel just on my face. And I was like, all right, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it all adds
It
up.
all
now.
makes
Wow.
sense.
A
Yeah.
paper towel. Yeah.
So-
Maybe it was left over from the guy's lunch. He
Yeah,
was like,
really,
all I
I'm
have is like
hoping.
what I brought from home. So here you go. Cover your eyes.
They're like, fuck, she asked for an eye covering. What do you do?
I mean, I don't know what's worse. Like, would I rather have had an eye covering that like has never been washed before and like has touched everybody's eyes, or would I have preferred the paper towel? Maybe the paper towel.
Paper towel, absolutely. That's
Yeah,
way
but it's
more
like not
clean.
much of an eye covering because it's so light.
No, it was light, and there were fans going, and I'm just like,
Blowing
I just
in
have
the
to
wind?
hold it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hold it and close my eyes and pretend like I'm somewhere different.
Oh my
But this massage on my feet was actually really great, and then they started to like move up my thigh, and I'm like, no, just like stick below the knee.
Yeah,
you know?
below the
Yeah,
knee.
they like start to like pull your leg out. I'm like, I do not want that, please. Just like my feet.
I do love a good
Me
massage
too.
though.
I would go back there, which is shocking, just for that foot massage. Like you just have to
Yeah.
go there knowing that experience is gonna be a little weird.
Yeah. Another thing I learned about massages, this was actually at a really nice place. We were at like some resort. Someone got like a couples massage for us, and
For Tess and I.
no, for my boyfriend at the time and I drank so much of the cucumber like basil water in the lobby. And I was like,
burping.
no, I mean, I don't know, that maybe would have been better because I kept having to get up in the middle of the massage. Like I think I went up and peed 3 or 4 times in an hour-long massage.
That's
and my boyfriend at the
horrible.
time was like, are you serious? Like you didn't even enjoy it. Like you were out of the room the whole time. Like you kept going, excuse me, I need to pee.
Bad. That's pretty
So now I've learned my lesson. Like
Yeah.
hold off on the liquids before a massage because like, I don't know.
Liquids do run through you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me specifically?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like you pee a lot.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Or like maybe have to pee a lot.
I
Is
don't
that the
know.
same thing? I don't know. Yeah, but PSA for everyone. Also, that brings us to our next point is Tess. Her name is Tess.
Oh,
sorry.
she just hit the mic and I'm sure it made a lot
It made a noise, but her name is Tess, and a lot of people say Tessa for some
Oh.
reason. And I just wanted to say it's Tess. you know?
Okay.
Like
Well, if-
my aunt, I love her dearly, and she's great. And every time she's like, "How's Tessa doing?" I'm like, Tess is so good.
You just repeat it to really bring it home.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to go there, if you're going to defend my name, then I'm going to defend yours. It's Madison, not Madeline.
Oh yeah.
And it's Madison, not Maddie.
Yeah.
And if you know her well, it can be Mads
Yeah.
or Mad, but you might have noticed it's not quickly. Like you don't get access to that name very quick. So Madison is great.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's Madison. I might call her Mads. But yeah.
Exactly.
Great. Okay.
That's good. And then
Glad we
another
clarified.
thing is that I keep forgetting to say this on the podcast, but Tess.
Where?
No, I was just going to take it of like, Tess sometimes says things that literally are like kind of out of context, but they work. Like the other day, we were at the mall and she was like, it was raining outside. We were at the mall and she was like, all right, we're going to go in there and bust ass. And I'm like, no, we're not. Like, what the fuck?
I didn't know that meant fart. Okay.
So that's one. And then we said this one on the podcast before, is that for some reason,
what a roast
Tess
this is.
Loved, yeah, it's a secret roast. But Tess loved to say the word splooge, which, I mean, you know, if you don't know what that is, maybe look it up.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounds like what it is. Yeah. And we were cutting vegetables when I was living in Santa Barbara, cutting something on a cutting board, and like something like got on her. And she's like, oh my God, this just splooged all over me. And I was like, do you know what that means? And so I told her, and she was like, I have been using that for years and no one has said anything.
Yeah. And also like using that in environments where it definitely should not be used. Like around children and like my ex-boyfriend's parents and definitely like conservative crowds. And I'm over there like, oh, it just splooged on me and having no idea. Like, I just had a crisis of like, how many times have I said that?
Yeah. Yeah, good shit. Oh man,
I love it. Wow. All right.
So that was the funny stuff out of the way. So now the more serious stuff is in the center of the sandwich. And Tess and I were talking about this the other day, but I had a conversation in the car with my sister on Saturday night, and I was like, let's just bring this up on the pod.
Okay.
So Tess and I are in the fitness industry because we teach Pilates, and this happens a lot in our environment, but I feel like I am very like exhausted with women being so dissatisfied with their bodies. And I had this conversation in the car because there aren't many female figures in my life that are like, yeah, I love my body. It's great. Look how it functions. I like look good. I feel good. I don't really have any female figures in my life that say that. And my sister, when we were talking about that in the car, we were just like, yeah, like agreeing with everything. And she was like, well, and looked over at me and she's like, do you like your body? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. Like no one has ever like flat out asked me that before. And I had to like stop and think about it. Cause I was like, for the most part, yes. But then there's always like things I want to change. But at least my initial answer was yes. I had to like dissect it, you know? But I was just like, oh my God. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like it stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like, oh my God, am I happy with my body? But then I also, even if I'm not, like times when I'm not, I never want to project that onto other people.
Yeah.
So
the first thing that comes to my mind is I don't necessarily need people around me to talk about how much they love their body. I just need less of the negative. So like what I appreciate if someone is able to like throw on an outfit or throw on a bikini and they don't sit there and pick their body apart, right? Like if they're able to just like throw on their clothes and go, that's fucking awesome to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know if, I think we're just around a lot of women on a daily basis. And obviously not everyone goes there, but when it does, I feel like we're very keen to hearing it. And like our ear, like we're just like, oh, like it's so sensitive and like almost in a way like triggering for us of just like, why does everything have to be like negativity surrounding our bodies? Like even if it's positive, like even if someone says positive towards some or towards me about my body, then they follow it with something negative about theirs. And I get that. I've definitely been in the habit too of like, it's almost easier if I attack it. So then like, it's not the elephant in the room. Like that can be sometimes the mindset. But it honestly like kind of makes people uncomfortable if you're just sitting there ragging on your body because what are we supposed to say in return?
Right.
You know, of like, no, that's not true. And then you're gonna be like, well, it is true, but whatever. Like, you know, like you're gonna find some way.
To offer a solution. Like I'm not really sure.
I don't know. It's just tough territory for the people on the receiving end. And I just wish that like it was I don't want to say like it's something that we keep more private because I don't want to silence people. And like some people just, that's how we are. We just talk about it. But the negativity just seems so prevalent. Like it's just such a conversation. And I also work like in clothing too. And I get the same thing of like, oh, well, that won't look good on me, or, oh, I'll never fit into that. Or, you know, that would look really good on her, but really bad on me. And I'm like, but like, you know, why the fuck are we doing this?
Yeah. It just makes me really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then if you're walking through life appreciating your body and whatever, not saying anything negative to yourself, like outwardly, then when someone else says it, it automatically makes you think about that. And you're like, well, should I? And then immediately I'm like, no, I shouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up is like sometimes I won't be thinking about my body at all. Like not even a thought in my brain about it. And then someone will say something about their own body. And then that starts the conversation of like, well, like, do I have anything that I like am unhappy with and that I should talk about?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Come on.
I know. Cause then I just always bring it back to, and not to say that I'm perfect, because I have days too where I'm more like self-deprecating or more negative than others. But I always am just like, my body is my home and I want to listen to it as well as I can, and also like take action when my body's sending me signals versus just like attacking what it looks like physically. So,
yeah. And I think that I mean, all of my life, like from as early as I can remember, I've just been aware of my body, and I've been taught to be aware of my body, and in very hypercritical ways. And it's just hard to kind of forge your own path and not be so consumed with the aesthetics of your body when all you hear is people criticizing theirs.
right.
And it's like, well, how am I supposed to get away from this if this is just always the conversation?
I know. Yeah, and Tess and I talk about that sometimes because, and it depends on the day, but when someone is talking about their body in a negative way in front of us, I have so many reactions to it. And as I was saying, it depends on the day. But sometimes I just don't say anything at all because maybe it wouldn't be as kind or as like compassionate as it should be. But then I want to like educate them on what their body does for them versus like how it looks, you know? But then I think that it's just not being registered potentially, but then at least it makes me feel good that like hopefully someone else who's in the room hears the message that I'm trying to bring.
Yeah. Yeah, so many thoughts on it. And like it's kind of touchy to even go into detail about it because there are things that I want to bring up, but I don't necessarily want to throw certain people under the bus. But like something that I have heard in this regard, not necessarily talking about bodies, but like kind of, is someone, when class was super hard once, someone said, oh, she must have found out that we ate a bunch of cookies last night and now she's making us pay for it. And I was just like, okay, well, like, and they said it loudly like a joke to be lighthearted and fun. And that's like, I love that they bring that energy to the room of like, oh, like, let's make a joke about it. Cause that was so hard. But it like is so diet culture, and it can be so negative for someone in the room who actually feels that way about their body and like how they eat and how they need to like work it off.
Right.
That's so like, I just want to be like,
toxic.
I go, no, I don't treat my body that way. I don't torture it for the things that I ate. You know, like I would,
it's a perfect response.
Yeah. And I just feel like it shut it down. And I try not to make people feel bad about having these, I don't know, I feel like very old school beliefs.
Yes.
Like that's what it feels like to me, is like, that's just so outdated, you know, like we just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, true.
But that was like the culture for a long time. So I don't blame a lot of people for being kind of brainwashed and consumed into like obsessing over their bodies. But I would love nothing more than to be a pillar of transformation out of that conversation. Like, enough.
Yeah, me too. And I think we do a really good job about that because we don't really talk about aesthetics that much, which it's fine to have a goal and want your body to look a certain way if you're achieving that in like a healthy way, you know, like you want to build muscle, whatever, if you want to lose weight. But I think that we do a good job of talking about wellness. It's like honoring the ebb and flow of it versus what we look like physically.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll add to that and just saying, like, of course you want to look good and you want to, like, because when you look good or you feel good, like, it all adds up and then you have a more positive experience. But I think what we're going for here is, like, it's not wrong to, like, want to be fit and
Right.
to, like, have a positive image of your body in your mind. But it's like when you are yanking yourself under the water constantly and like talking shit about yourself, it's just draining for all involved. And I'm sure it doesn't feel good either. I know it from
Yeah.
experience.
I know. And just like, yeah, as lame as it is to say to like be kinder to yourself, why not? And especially in front of other people, because you really don't know like how what you're saying about yourself outwardly is doing to others in the room. So
Yep.
yeah,
Cool.
just a little PSA, you know? We could talk about that for a really long time, but that has been coming up for years now. But just like, I don't know, it's been really concentrated the last few weeks, I feel. And I'm just like, enough, like enough.
Yeah. And a quick note, one more thing on like body stuff is if someone is projecting their beliefs onto you and like talking about the way your body looks, you choose whether or not that penetrates you as a person. So like sometimes people say shit out of like where their head's at and how they view themselves and how what they view as important. And that can be their truth and it doesn't have to be yours. And so I'm just saying like, hey, if someone's kind of like critiquing you or trying to push you and urge you into a certain direction, try not to let it get you down. Like you can kind of put your own barrier up and take what you want from it. But I know it can be really hard to hear stuff about your body when it's unsolicited. And I'm just here to say, like, if that's happening to you, you're not alone and you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I sometimes think that when those things happen or you're reminded of, I don't know, if people are doing that to you or you sort of hear like off in the distance someone talking about their body negatively, then that's just like something that the universe or some force like sends to us. And they're like, are you like, how are you feeling in this? I'm like, how am I trying to explain this? But I think it's like, if that's being sent to you, it's kind of, for me, a reminder to like stay on the path that I'm on. Like it's like trying to like shake you out of it a little bit. And I'm like, no, I stand strong in like my beliefs about my body and how I fuel it and move it. So I'm good. I don't need that.
Yeah, I like that approach.
Cool. Yeah. But yeah, so that's that. And then the last half of our sandwich is the feel good. So I was listening to the last episode and you're like, yeah, it's just feel good shit.
Yeah.
But I was like, what is this segment called? So we still have to figure that out. I don't know if I want to call it feel good shit. Like I don't know.
Okay. I haven't even thought about it. I didn't know if it was even going to be a reoccurring thing.
I didn't either, but I just like needed to do it.
I'm thrilled about it. Let's go. I feel like it's like Madison's Corner, you know?
Okay.
But like, we're not going to call it Madison's Corner, but that's what this feels like.
So I'm like, okay.
She's like, that's so lame. I want to crawl into a hole. I don't like that.
I don't do it anymore. Okay. So these are just things, again, that I found on Tumblr that are just floating in my likes. And I like to go through my likes when I need to hear this.
Okay.
And so first one, no one's behind in life. We all just have our own unique timelines. So that's one. I need to hear that a lot.
Yeah, especially at this age.
Right.
Like I think as you start to near 30 or you're in your early 30s, I mean, honestly, any time in life,
Anytime
really.
I'm like, even though I talk about not comparing yourself and I really try my hardest not to, sometimes I find myself doing that.
Yeah.
And then it's just a good reminder to be like, no, you are on your own path. Like, that's okay.
Yeah. But like this time in your life, think about it. There's people buying houses, getting married, engaged, having kids. Their careers are taking off. They're making six figures. Like all of these different things where you look at yourself and you're like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not. And you start to compare.
Yeah, it's those reminders again. And then I'm like, no, I know my path and I know that this is a great path for me. So I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah. And I feel good right now. And that's the fucking most important part is like, I'm doing good and I feel good and I'm not going to compare.
But then the times that it gets you are the days where you don't feel good. And you're like, I'm fucking up. their life,
I
their
hate it all.
timeline is
Yes.
the timeline I'm supposed to be on.
Yep.
And I'm like, nah.
Yeah. And it's funny because, okay, let's go there for 1 second. One of my best friends has kind of like a completely different timeline than what I have, right? She's married. She owns a home. She just had a baby. She already did the career thing. Like, you're just like, what? We are so different on that level. But like, we're very similar in personality and character, but very different timelines. And when I talk to her and I express like, yeah, sometimes it just feels like Madison and I are just like floating out in the middle of the sea and like we think we know what we're doing, but we're not quite sure. And like, is there a life raft coming? And like, where's the shore? And she's like, well, enjoy this time that you have because I'm in such a different part of my life. And like, I almost miss that freedom and that wonder of like, where are we going and what's next? And so just please enjoy it while you have it because I miss that time in my life. And she's very grateful, obviously, for what she has. But it's like, don't rush out of the phase that you're in. Try to enjoy it because the next phase is going to come and you'll miss this current one that we're in.
Totally. Yeah. And we've talked about that on the pod before, I think. But I think that about that at least one time a week where I'm just like, look around and because there are so many times in my past where I haven't taken a moment to be like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
And then it passes by and then I'm thinking about it 2 years later. And I'm like, oh man, like I wish like past Madison would have been happy in that situation. Yeah. So yeah. And I also like this segment that we're doing because then it provokes more conversation around what I say, you know? Yeah. So, okay. Next one. Every time you push yourself to do something uncomfortable, you make it easier to do it again. Do you agree?
Yeah, because like the first time you do anything is the hardest time you do it.
Oh, God. Yeah. And sometimes it's just like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
So if you've been listening to the podcast for how long we've been doing it for?
2 years.
Okay. You've been listening for 2 years. You know that we have been talking about like how movement is going to be a part of our brand, right? And then
Movement
sometimes
platform.
we shy away from even talking about it because it's like, well, are we all talk, and we're no action. Like that's gross. That's not on brand
not
for us.
Not on brand at all.
Yeah. So we got to the point where we're like, no, like now there's no excuse. The hardest part is just starting and just do the first video. And I did the first video and then guess what? That was the hardest one. And then I did 2 shortly after, I think maybe the next day or the day after. And it was so much easier because I ripped the Band-Aid. I got over that initial wave of like, it's not going to be good enough. How is it going to look? How am I going to get it done? I just did it.
Right.
And then even if it wasn't perfect or even if it was not usable, okay, well, now I have a baseline to work off of. I have a draft.
Yeah. And I have an even more wholesome example is that Tess and I go over to her dad's house almost every day to walk with him because he's in rehab, essentially self-guided with his hip that he just got replaced. And we start it and we're always like, yeah, the hardest part is starting. And he's kind of stiff when he starts out. And then he's like, all right, I want to go 4 more laps around the block.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So like if he's standing still and he's like, has his walker in front of him, the hardest few steps is like that initial, like, okay, right foot forward. And then once he gets cruising, it's not so bad. And then after the first lap, like Madison's saying, he warms up a bit and he's like, okay, like I'm not as stiff. I can do it again.
Yeah.
And then now he's out there like doing a whole mile. And it's like, yeah, that is, that's wholesome.
I know. Cause I
My
was like,
dad.
oh, it's cute.
That'll make me cry.
Yeah. The hardest part is starting for the most part. And then once you have the momentum, it's like, all right, I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, it's scary to think of tackling something new and tackling like a bigger, harder task than what you're used to. But once you do it, you feel so accomplished and so ready to do the next one.
Yeah. And then you know essentially what you're capable of. And then you trust yourself more. And you're like, okay, I actually can do this because I've done that before. So let's do it again.
Yep.
Yeah. Great. All right.
Cool.
So the last one is a little bit longer. So your life is too grand to spend your energy feeling low on what you think is not working out for you. Invest your energy into what will make you feel good and trust that no matter how things feel now, life is always working in your favor, which we talk about a lot. And I can't remember the example, which I am sad, but we had an example last week of something that happened where like this is working in our favor. Like even when it doesn't feel like it, something reminds us that like, oh my God, yeah, this is working in our favor.
Was it moving?
Oh yeah, I think that it was.
Yeah. maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely was.
So basically we have to be out of, well, our lease is up in end of April and we've got a busy month that month. Like I'm supposed to be gone for a good chunk of it. And then, yeah, it's just a lot.
It's just everything all at once.
It's really hectic.
Like usual.
And it just feels like it's fast approaching and like the job stuff hasn't quite panned out yet. Like there's just obviously like a lot of moving parts and whatever, we can handle it. But it just seems like, oh shit, here it comes, you know?
Like it's literally tomorrow and nothing is prepared.
Correct. However, you realize like there is stuff kind of always working behind the scenes and like there are things that are going to happen in your life that you can't see coming yet that are going to be great for you. You just need to relax and let it happen. And I got a text basically where we have more flexibility now is how I'm just going to word it. Of like, perfect. We don't have to get out of here right at April 27th or whatever it might be. We can stay for a second longer without a rent increase. And it just seems like as of right now, it might work out where we're not panicking and rushing.
Right.
And that was something we were really concerned about is like, oh gosh, well, what if we have to stay an extra month or two and the rent increases to like an astronomical number because that's basically what it already is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it just kind of helps soften that.
Totally.
So yeah, things do work in your favor.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a really good mantra or just reminder daily, even if something feels like it's not working out or like it's being forced, just be like, no. We can relax, like everything works out in our favor. And just leading with that, I feel like is very comforting.
It can't hurt, right?
No. Like, why not?
To believe that things work out in your favor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 So, that's it.
Saying yeah a lot.
I know. I was talking on the phone today for one of my other jobs, and he asked me a question.
One of the 8 jobs you have?
That's
what it feels like.
Yeah, seriously. And which we like all the opportunities, like, you know, money. But I was talking to him and he asked me something and I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot. Thank God I'm not meeting this person in public ever. Yeah, damn. But anyway, that's it. We finished the sandwich and
now I'm
we're
hungry.
feeling good. Yeah.
No. I mean,
are you?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, you guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed. You're following us on Instagram. You're subscribed on YouTube. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
We sometimes post TikToks.
Oh, yeah. Madison does.
Yeah. Which is basically just our Instagram clips.
Who
on
cares?
TikTok,
Go like
but
it.
Like,
support your local
not?
Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go follow. Anyway.
All right.
Have an awesome rest of your week. Talk soon.
All right. Bye, guys.